Hey guys, Tony here. Back again to show a record from my collection, which I almost knocked over. A fantastic record, really, and yeah, one of them that I'm lucky enough to own, an original of. Came across this, I don't know how long ago. Um, it's been a little while, but came across this in a local store, amazingly, for 20 bucks, and yeah, I mean, just a fantastic record by Brazilian artist Gilberto Gil. And this is his third, third self-titled album, but also known as the first track, Nêga, or Photograph, which Nêga, I believe, is photograph in Brazilian, if I could be wrong. But anyway, so yeah, so his third self-titled album, released in 1971, and this was recorded in London. So it's a very interesting story of how he came to record this album in London. So if you don't know who Gilberto Gil is, he was a Brazilian musician who basically was one of the founding members of the whole Tropicalia movement. He started out as sort of a bossa nova musician, and I think upon hearing like Sgt. Pepper and that whole psychedelic scene, the Tropicalia movement started up basically from the musicians being exposed to, sort of American and English psychedelic rock. So they incorporated elements of that into their music, and also add the very political nature of their music. At that time, Brazil was under the rule of a very strict military dictatorship, and I believe they viewed the Tropicalia movement as something very dangerous to them, something that they didn't understand, and they just saw it as a threat. So they basically went after the two sort of main guys behind the movement, which one was Gilberto Gil and the other was Caetano Veloso. And in 1969, I want to say, sometime in 1969, early 69, or maybe late 68, they were arrested. And they were placed in prison. They weren't officially charged with anything, but they were put in prison for a few months, 4 months, and then, or no, maybe like 2 months, and then under house arrest for another 4 months. And they were told they had to leave the country, basically. So they decided as musicians the best place for them to go would be London. So they were exiled to London for a period of, I want to say, 3 years. During that time, I think they both each recorded one album, and this was Gilberto Gil's. You'll notice, if you're familiar with his music, that this is much more. I don't want to say sparse. I mean, his debut album is pretty sparse, bossa nova. This is, sort of bare bones. Him playing acoustic guitar and a bass player, and a little bit of other things, like little touches of color, but very little percussion. There's also sort of it's an upbeat album, and at the same time for him, it has this element of sadness to it, and I think they made the best of their time in London. They played with some fantastic musicians. That they both played, I believe, at the Isle of Wight festival. I believe they jammed with people like, Hawkwind and, I think some other big names, and they saw the Rolling Stones and made a lot of friends and everything. But, they wanted to get back to their home country, really. And you'll notice after this, he was able to go back to Brazil, I think, in '72. And his first studio album is Espresso 222, which is very upbeat and happy. You can tell he's happy to be back in his homeland. But this album, recorded in London, killer record, just beautiful. I mean, this guy is just incredible. If you're not familiar with his music, you must check it out. This is also recorded in English, which is, I believe, his only album he recorded all in English, and so this might be a good starting point for a lot of people who have a hard time listening to music in other languages. But yeah, fantastic record, and he does a version of very fitting of Steve Winwood's Traffic's "I Can't Find My Way Home." but the whole album, Volkswagen Blues, is just excellent. Crazy pop rock, Babylon. I mean, the whole album from beginning to end. Now, this is a very rare record. It's the U.S. press, originally U.S. press on Paramount. This is the only one I've ever seen, and it tends to go for big money online. I mean, anywhere from $60 to $100, maybe a little more. But yeah, to come across this for $20 in a local store is just incredible. And outside of this touch of little wear on the cover, it's beautiful. The record itself is beautiful. And, I've been really getting into Brazilian music in a big way, and I bought this one sort of a while before really, getting into Brazilian music, and so I've had this one a while. But yeah, there's the label. The record is gorgeous, and yeah, I highly recommend checking this out. It's a fantastic record, and so is Caetano Veloso's record from their exile. I think his is much more sad than this, and even he says he had a hard time during his exile, and they wanted to go home. But yeah, they played the Isle of Wight, and the story is they were there and they just really took in the culture, and people didn't realize how big these guys were in Brazil. I mean, they were just such huge stars, and they were sort of unknown for the most part in London at that time. But yes, they were just enormous stars. But anyway, fantastic record. Do check it out any way you can. I want to say there's a reissue. I know it's been reissued. There might be a more recent one. I don't know. But anyway, Gilberto Gil, 1971. Yeah, self-titled or called Nêga. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll be back soon. I have a fantastic vinyl update to do. A lot of luck lately. So anyway, leave me some comments. Thanks.